Well, hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. And today the Kawasaki's got about 11,500. Oh, look at that, 15,000 kilometers on it, 15,633. Why did I think 11? But it's due for a service, and that's what we're about today. So let's have a look at what we're going to be doing. It's not a big service. Oil filter, air filter, and plugs. And this is the first time I'm doing it on this bike, so you'll probably be going through a bit of a learning experience with me. I know we're going to have to get the seat off, get the tank off, to get access to the airbox under the tank. But I'm going to start with draining the oil, and while the oil drains out, I'll work on the other stuff. So hold on. Well, alright, I'm back, and first thing, let me apologize in advance. I've got the garage door closed, but there is a lot of residual noise coming out there. And yeah, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drain the oil. So down here on the sump, I've got the bike on the paddock stand. And on the sump now, I'm going to release that bolt. And I'll try and do it in such a way that you can also see. It's a 17mm, perhaps this angle will be a bit better. And then once I've gotten it loosened, I'll get the bucket under and we'll start draining. So that looks a bit dark, but what can you do? Let's get this loose. Okay, that's free. Like I said, that's a 17mm. The bucket underneath here, and this oil should start blasting out. Sorry, I'm filming and doing, so it's gonna be a little messy, I reckon. Just like that. I've already got oil on myself. It's the nature of the game, huh? Right, let me get this out of the way. I do have a rag on standby, and that's running out. So that's the first part of the gig, is getting the oil out of the engine. And of course there's another part to that, and that is to get the oil filter off, which is just adjacent to it, right there. Oh, this is dark. Just hold on, let me get some more light going here. Alright, I'm back, and I should have done that a lot sooner. So now I'm going to be releasing the oil filter as well, and I know by watching a Z900, not an RS video, that there's a lot of oil in there, but it's probably about half a litre of oil, 300 milliliters of oil, which is going to have to be released. So I have bought one of these little cheap and cheerful oil straps. So let me, oil filter removal strap. So it just has a rubber band. If you can see that, you just pass the rubber band through there, right? And now you're going to put it over. And which way am I going to loosen? That way. It looks like I need to flip it the other way. All right, let's do it that way. Pull it up, and then I might just have to get that out of the way for a while I do this, and that should. Theoretically, it actually did move there. Come on. Now I've just gotten back from riding the bike, so it is. The engine oil is still warm. The engine is still warm, and I did that on purpose. Let me just wipe that away. Are you still seeing what I'm doing? Yes, you are. All right. So I did that on purpose so that as I get this off. And now, with the hot oil, it'll drain out more completely, let's say. And there's the oil filter. Yeah, there was quite a bit of oil in there. I see it. This container here is apparently a 5-litre container, and I'm well into the 3 litres. Maybe 3.5 by now, which coincides exactly with the what the manual says about the oil quantity. I think it says 3.8 once you've filled the oil filter as well. So that's looking about right. Let me just angle the camera down so you can see what the level of the oil is in the container, and it still is dripping. So I'm going to leave that to drip while we continue with other things. And just by the way, this is the Kawasaki Z900RS. This is a 2018 model in the matte green. Because I did look on YouTube and there are no videos on how to do this with this particular model. So while the oil is draining away now, I'm going to remove the seat and the tank. So that's coming up next. So to get the seat off, you have a rubber flap up here. It must be opened to give you access, and then you use the bike's key, get it in there, and give it a turn. And the seat should be free. If not, sorry, I've got to do this with two hands. You've got to apply a little bit of pressure on the seat, downward pressure, and get it off. It's not it's not coming off. So I need both hands for this job. Let me see if I can stand this camera maybe somewhere it might be a bit useful to you. Sorry, it's going to be shaky. And let's see how that looks. Probably like that. Oh boy, yeah, close enough, I guess. So pushing down. And I know I've got some accessories under here that I have stuffed in, and now I'm paying a fine. I'm going to fight with this and I'll come back to you. Alright, seat is off, and it would appear that the next step would be to loosen that bolt there, and get these two side fairings off to gain better access to the bolt that holds the tank in place. So, hold on. Alright, I've gotten the first side cover off. It's only the one bolt. You can see where it passes through there. I actually used a Torx, even though it was an Allen key. Torx 25, but I think it was a 4mm Allen key. And release that one bolt, and then it's just these little studs that go into the rubber grommets on the frame. Where are you? There you are. In 1, 2, 3 places. The front one is a flat, just a little bar that goes in, and then it's free, and that will reveal the tank mounting bolts. I'm going to do the other side. Okay, so now with a 10mm socket, just release these two bolts, and that's the first part of getting the tank free. So I'll do the rest by hand, because these are pretty good, and they're not bound up in any way, they're not snagged up. So we'll do that. That all seems to be one assembly for the tank, and then this side again. That one is a little bit more reluctant to go, but it's turning. Okay, so that's the two 10mm bolts for the tank. Up front are two 6mm Allen bolts. You can see I've got the wrench in the left hand side that need to be released as well. We'll do that. I'll be back. Alright, those two hex bolts have been released, and it turns out they were a 5, not a 6. They're 5mm bolts. Now I think I'm going to need to just lift the tank up a little bit so that I can get to all of the breathers and the fuel lines. I see two breathers, what looks like breathers here, running down, maybe going to a fuel pump. So I have no idea, but they got to come off. I guess they're going to be breathers. And then underneath is probably going to be the supply line as well. So I'm going to have to lift the tank, which probably will lift now. Yep, it's lifting. But I'm going to have to lift it up, get underneath, and then check where that supply line is, and then release that. So I'll be doing that, and I'll show you what I've done. Right, so after I released these two little pipes, no fuel came out of here, so they're breathers. They came out with a little bit of work, but they didn't break or anything. They just put up a fight. But they came off easy. So now, underneath this tank, you can see we've got the fuel supply line. It's got this little clip on that side over there, which needs to be pulled out, and then the fuel flow line will be released, and then this wire over here gets released probably down there for the fuel quantity sensing. So I'll give that clip a go with the quantity. Not sure if you have to spread it or squeeze it. Some of these clips you spread, some of them you squeeze. I'm going to need both hands for that operation as well though. So I'm going to hang on to that, and I'll be back when I've gotten the job done, and I'll explain to you what I did. Alright, I'm back, and I can show you exactly how I went about, first of all, releasing the wire for the fuel tank sensor. So this clip over here has a little tab on it there that you've got to lift up. So I reached in with a screwdriver and lifted up the little tab, and then I could pull out the plug for that tank sensor. Then this is the fuel supply line, if it'll focus, and it's got this little red clip on it, which is going to have to be pulled backwards, and there's a place on there you can, if it'll focus again, but you can see a little tab there where you can insert a screwdriver and pop it out, and then just gently wiggle it outward to the left side of the bike, and then it's free. So the tank's off, and of course I had this block of wood under here, just lifting the tank a little bit so I could get access, and that worked fine. So the next step is going to be releasing this airbox. So I'm going to have to remove the cover first, which has got a lot of Phillips head screws on it. I don't know how many, but a bunch. One way down in there as well. I've got to release all of those, and then I'll have access to the air filter. Alright, so let's have a look. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so 14 screws, because it's the same on the other side. 15 with the middle one, and now this box should come off. Oh yeah, it's got these two funny little clips on here that need to be released somehow. I saw that in that other video, and it looks like this whole assembly just kind of lifts up here and clips off. Yeah, it does. See, I'm kind of having to apply a little bit of force here to lift those clips out. There you can see them coming. This whole lot just lifts out here. It's kind of weird. I don't know why they would do that. Sorry, I'm not focused on the job there. And there it's already come loose, but I haven't been able to separate it because again I'm working with one hand here, so it's not optimum. Anyway, it's coming. There's one side, two sides. Now I've got a little bit of fuel leaking out here, so you will smell a little bit of fuel. There is some fuel coming out. It's not going anywhere dangerous. And there we have one airbox. Now this is the clean side of the airbox, so it will look clean. Don't think to yourself, oh great, I can keep using that filter. This is the clean side. You can inspect the inside. It's a good idea to inspect the inside and make sure there are no dust leaks. And this one looks good. And inspecting the inside here, nice and clean, no dust leaks. And that looks good. So now I'm going to have to get the rest of it off. I'm going to lift up that air filter and get a look underneath it, but first let me put this guy down and then we'll be back. So there's the air filter assembly, and now you can see the dirty side of the filter. Let's get out here where it's light. It'll be a bit noisy out here, but you can at least get a better look. It's dirty, so it was due for a replacement, and that's great. And my new one I've checked, it is correct, and that'll go back in when I close up. So let's put that down over there and get on with the task. I'm going to have to remove this box because I want to get to my spark plugs and check that out as well. In order to do that, I'm going to have to release that, and who knows what else. I'll have to get back to you about that. There's got to be some stuff here, but I'll release those two for now. Definitely there's going to be more. Alright, so now I've released the air box. You actually just grab it and pull it up after you've released the two bolts up here. You grab it and pull it up, but it's holding on in 4 places, which I will show to you now. So let me get the air box out of the way. There's all my stuff. And in first position is this thick pipe here. It doesn't have a clip, so there's no clamp for this pipe. It just plugs on. Then we have this pipe, which does have a clamp. And then we have, oh, did you see that, by the way? This pipe here, which has a clamp. So that's 1, 2, 3 is a little electrical connector, and underneath it's got a little tab that you push on to release it and pull it free. And then this top breather pipe down here, you can see it does have a little clip which is slipped down. So there are 4 connections that have to be made when you put it back on. Very important. So now we can have a look at the throttle bodies. It's electronic. Look at that. Let's see if I can make it do its thing here. Even this, there we go. That's looking good, good and clean. Let's put it back to where it was so we don't have any issues. There we go. Alright, so now I have my 4 spark plugs. So accessing those, you can basically unclip the connector to the coil, pull off the coil, and then you've got access to the spark plug. So let's get a look at that. There we go, that comes off real easy. Just push down on the little tab over there, and then you've got access to your coil, which should come out. Well, no, normally these are a little tight, so let me wiggle that a little bit and see if I can get it out. I know the coils always hold on tight. There we go. Just give it a twist. That's the coil, and it's off. So that's number 2. I am going to set these in sequence so that I remember where they go if I need to. But I'm going to first inspect the plug. Right, so here you see old plug and new. Recommended gap is 0.8 to 0.9 mil. And I think that this guy here has burned away quite a bit. Oh, it's not coming in focus. Just a second. Let's get him in there. That looks like a bit more than... That looks more like 1 point something mil compared to that. So I'm putting new plugs in. And just for your information, you will be needing a 16mm on an extension to get to the plug, and you need that little rubber grommet on the inside to grab the plug, because that cavity is really deep. It's way down in there. I've got 3 more to go, so I'll be back. Alright folks, it's easily an hour later and I've finally gotten my 4 spark plugs replaced. Cylinder 1 and 4 are terrible because your access here is so limited. 2 and 3, of course, no problem, easy access down there. I ended up having to make a tool because this section, well, there's the spark plug spanner, it's a 16, and this section over here I had to grind. You can see it's been ground. I had to grind a whole lot to get it to fit. I finally got it down there. Oh man, it was a job. Oh, so yeah, that took a long time, but I got it done. So yeah, guys, before you try this job, go to Kawasaki and buy the wrench. Find out what wrench it is, buy the correct wrench for this with with your little universal joint, so that you can work in those angles as well. The universal joint work fine, but having the wrench, oh man. I think also if you have this type of wrench and just have an adapter, I don't have the right adapter that goes down to my, what's that, 1/4 inch or 3/4 inch fitting. This 1/2 inch fitting over here, yeah, that's a problem, because the shafts are too thick. It becomes really messy to do that job. So buy the right tools before you do this. If you've got the right tools, it's actually no problem. I didn't have the right tools. I had to actually grind and go and make my own tools. Anyway, job is done. Airbox is going to go back on now. And yeah, so I've got 4 things to connect. No clamp, electrical connector, and clamp. Let's see how that goes. Alright folks, we're nearly closed up. It's late, it's getting dark. I took my time doing this so that I make sure I didn't forget anything. Only thing left to do is put the oil in. But yeah, I've got the side covers back on, and I used this little squirt bottle with soapy water on the little rubber receptacles, so that the side cover just goes in that much easier and I'm not forcing it in. So it's all gone together really nicely. I'm going to put the seat back on, and then it's going to be the oil. Alright folks, we're on the home stretch. New oil filter is in. The oil drain plug is back on. Got to give that a wipe. I'll do that after when I do a cleanup. And now I'll show you my measuring. So I'm using this stuff. It's called Motorex 4-stroke, 4 liters of it, 10W40. It's a very interesting color. It's kind of a honey color. It's, yeah, I don't know, it's different than other oil, but apparently this is the bee's knees. So I've measured off a liter, and I'll do it liter by liter. I'm going to put in 3. It should take about 3.5. I'll go with 3.5 and then check the sight glass and top up until the sight glass is correct. And there it is folks. Could do a little more, maybe just a little more, but even as it is, that's well within limits. So I'm going to start it and idle it and then top it up as necessary, but I'm going to call that a wrap now. Bike is done. So I may as well, while you're here, start it up. Let's get a key and get you in the ignition. Come on. Be stubborn. There we go. It's on. Final check. Oil cap must go on. Silly boy. There you are. Okay, oil cap is on. And it's in neutral, so I can hit the happy button. Oil pressure's okay, no lights.